Milidam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabidam yena Bhudale. Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadadi Supadandigam. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Adabadagamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanidam Tam Sajivam. Sadhuidam Savadudam Parijana Sahidam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalidam Shri Vishakhanidamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhinabandhu Jagatpade Govesha Gopiga Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpadarubhasya Kripha Sindhubhyevacha Padidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Da Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Sahana Vavadu Sahanau Bhunaktum Sagaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinamadidamastu Ma Vidushavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Dandavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today we are going to cover the most important and most discussed topic of Bhagavad Gita is the spirit soul, the Jiva. This is the one of the main 5 subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. So we'll begin. Today we'll be covering the spirit soul, Jiva. So then we will be continuing this section. I think we cannot finish this Jiva part in 1 class or 2 class, I believe, but we'll try. Okay. So let's go to the next page, and here it is. We always amazed, always have this inquisitiveness, always have this curiosity. First thing is actually that we all amazed with who are we, what are we, who am I? How do we understand what are we? So here in the Bhagavad Gita gives that a beautiful, and there is no other, I believe, a very scientific explanation about the Jiva, the spirit soul, the consciousness, the mind, the intelligence. So Bhagavad Gita gives that a very deep understanding of what we are, who we are, what are all these living entities. So Srila Prabhupada writes very nicely, as soon as there is a little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. It's a very powerful statement, dear devotees, from Srila Prabhupada, that the symptom of life or the existence of the soul can be understood from the existence or the consciousness. If the soul is not there, the body cannot move, the senses cannot work, consciousness is not there, there is no intelligence, nothing can be done. No energy at all in the body. That's the case for every living entity. And people meditate upon this when they see a dead body. When they see a dead body is lying there, every ingredient of that body is also there. But one main component is missing. That is called the soul. The soul, as soon as leaves the body, then that body is useless. That's the case. The moment the soul leaves the body, then the body becomes start to disintegrate. Within short period of time, in for human, it starts to decay within 24 hours. And certain elements even immediately start to decay. Many times people see that as soon as a person die, they close the eyes and put the, the cotton in the nose because of nothing is controlling inside the body. The water start to ooze from the nostrils. Water comes out from the mouth, from the holes. Some part of the body, even when blood comes to ooze out from the body. And the body was so much warmth. Now it started to become cold. And nothing is there to control. Nothing can be smelled, nothing can be seen, nothing can be perceived. It just lie down just like a flesh lump of the body, lump of the matter. But at the same time, that matter becomes very enlivened when that soul is there. That soul is there in the body. Immediately that soul appears, it starts to grow, the body grows, slowly grows, and it becomes covers with various elements of the body, the bones and the marrows and the blood and the senses. This is the cycle of the development of the body. Then slowly the hand starts to develop, the leg starts to develop, the senses, the eyes, the nostrils.
8 o'clock, okay?
Excuse me, can you please put on the mute? Devotee space. Yeah, thank you. So then slowly it develops, and it grows and grows, and it's become a full-blown baby that about to come to this world. That's called birth. And then it grows and further grows, and it's become boyhood and become the youthhood. Then it's become the, then it creates the byproduct. Then it start to dwindle in some point of time. Then it comes to the old age. And then similarly, the body vanishes and the soul also disappears. So this is a cycle of birth and death. So Srila Prabhupada writes here, and this we all can feel that, we all can experience that, we all see this every day. As soon as there is a little light in the sky, similarly, when there is a consciousness in all bodies, we can see there is a symptom of life. So this is the prelude of understanding the soul. So it's undoubtedly that it's very clear that the presence of the soul makes everything possible for a living entity. The happiness, stress, the soul, reality, everything. The brain, memory, the sight, the sees, the touch, the indriyas, the senses, mind, intelligence, everything works just because of that presence of the soul. So then we come to the understanding. Yeah. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita explains the chapter 2, verse number 12. When Arjuna was bewildered in the battlefield, Arjuna told to Krishna that I'm going to kill every one of them. And I would be incur the sins. I'm going to slay every one of in the battlefield. Oh Krishna, I don't want to kill my parents. I don't want to kill my grandparents. I don't want to kill my teachers, kinsmen. This is where Krishna is revealing the transcendental truth about the living entity. So it is here explains that never there was a time I do not exist. nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So what this needs to, how we can understand this? Dear devotees, spirit soul always exist since time immemorial. Like how Krishna exists, like that spirit soul always exists since time immemorial. So there was always a debate and a question that how the spirit soul come into being. In reality, dear devotees, how Krishna exists, similarly, the spirit soul also exists. That we will see in the later verses that Krishna is revealing that to Arjuna. So the point is here that the soul always exists. Another, similarly like Krishna. Krishna is mentioned that another Govinda, original and ever existing and everlasting. So similarly, soul is also like that, always exists. Na jayade mriyade vakadajin nayam bhutva bhavitva na bhuyaha ajo nityam shashvadoyam puranam. Krishna is telling about the soul. Ajo nityam shashvadoyam puranam na hanyade hanyamane sharire. Na jayade, it never takes birth. Remember, we are not talking about this body. Body is a temporary manifestations. But the soul, we are mentioning about the spirit soul. That makes everything possible. So we are discussing in this section about the spirit soul or the jiva. The jiva, the jayade, knows the soul never takes birth. Then there is a question, then how the soul manifests? The devotees, as Krishna says that, these are all part and parcel of my eternal energy. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhumasara. Then that's why the spirit soul is known as the Tadastha Shakti, the part of the internal potency of the Lord, but is known as a marginal potency. It's same, it belongs to the supreme nature, belongs to the superior nature, but it has a tendency to come into this material world or load it over the material. Soul can be separately think from the supreme Lord. That's called marginal potency. So, as Krishna is the cause of everything, from the Krishna, we know that there is a quadruple expansions. From the quadruple expansions, there is Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. From that, Mahasankarshan, Narayana manifested. From Narayana, again, the second quadruple expansions, that is Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. From that Sankarshan, again, the Narayana or the Mahavishnu manifested. So from the body of Mahavishnu, this all spirit soul manifested. Remember, all the body of the Mahavishnu. That's why they are known as the Tadastha Shakti, because of Mahavishnu is the cause of this all material nature. So this is also happens when the time pralaya happens, when the day of when the day of the Brahma or when the Brahma vanishes, all this living entities goes back to the body of Mahavishnu. Then when the day of Brahma comes, everything comes back into this material existence. And then goes back to Mahavishnu, the body of Mahavishnu. Then we know that when Brahma lies down and Brahma vanishes, we know that after 311 trillion 40 billion years after, then there is a long period of time, we don't know. There is a long period of time we will be in the body of Mahavishnu. Then again, then manifests, the jivas comes from the body of Mahavishnu again. Goes back to the body of Mahavishnu again when the time annihilation happens. This goes on, dear devotees, since time immemorial. Since time immemorial, the jiva likes that. Then there may be a question, right? So, okay, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, or the other acharyas mentioned that yes, originally we were in the back to Godhead. We were originally with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. What about that? Yes, this means that sometimes, many, misunderstanding is there when we say Krishna, Vishnu and all, but this is all one Vishnu Tattva. When we speak about one Vishnu Tattva or Krishna, the Supreme Lord Vishnu, is all in the one context of it. That's why it is mentioned that when we are originally manifested from Vishnu, but actually when it comes to the real context that, yes, okay, we are also part of Krishna. Yes, we are also part of Krishna. But Krishna says that, right? One who reaches my abode never returns back into this material world. Na tad bhasedo suryana shashankana pavakaha yadgatva nanuvartande tadhama paramam mama. Whoever reaches my abode never comes back into this material world. So, dear devotees, as a spirit soul, we are wandering in these universes, and especially in this, the Brahmanda. Here we have an opportunity to realize and understand that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And when we engage in the loving devotional service, we go back to that Golok Vrindavan, then we never return back into this material world. So this is the cycle of it. This is the proper understanding of it, that the cycle, the journey of a spirit soul. Originally, we are Krishna conscious entities. What does that mean? We are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We are spiritual entities. That's what it is. We are spirit soul. That's called that's why we are known as the Atma, the spirit soul. Okay, so let's move to the next verse. Understanding of. Okay, so now we are coming to the part of understanding or identity of the living being, right? So let's understand what is the identity of a living being. So as identity, that is very simple, and the 15th chapter, 7th verses explains that all the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So we are a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So qualitatively, we are same with the Supreme Lord, but quantitatively, we are different. So I hope that you could understand up to this point that who are we when I ask this question, or when we ask this question, who am I? So we can easily they say that I am the part and parcel of the Supreme. My Supreme Father is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. So we can easily say that. So sometimes people say, that some devotees also comments on this actually. Are you rich? When you ask this question, are you rich? Yes, I am supremely rich. And we may not have any, $10, not maybe not his hand, but he can say that I'm supremely rich. Why? Because of, yes, my father is so rich. Who is your father? Yes, my father is the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. When my father is Supreme Lord is so rich, I am also so rich. So we should have this consciousness, dear devotees, because we are part and parcel. Always have this identity that you can hang on it. That's why we put this Kandimala Tilak and representing that we are all part and parcel of that Supreme. Right? So always we have to have that consciousness. So then we come to this point where form of a spirit soul. Now we know that Atma, the spirit soul, the Jiva, it has, identity, we understand. Now what is the form? What is the figure of this, the spirit soul, right? So Krishna has a form. So what is the form of a spirit soul? So spirit soul is also same qualitatively same as Krishna. Krishna is Satchidananda Vigraha. Spirit soul is also Satchit Ananda. The quality of the Supreme Lord Krishna is Sat. He is eternal. He is full of potential and knowledge, and he is also full of bliss. Similarly, spirit soul is also the same quality. He is also eternal. He is also has full of knowledge and potency. He also has the blissful nature. That is naturally the Krishna, the living entities. That's why they're always eagering for to get the pleasure and the happiness, because of the living entities' nature is to, attain the happiness. Why? Because of the Supreme Lord is also in that same nature. So that's why qualitatively we are same as Krishna. So the form of a spirit soul is known as, if somebody asks what is the form of a spirit soul, we can say Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Vigraha means a form. We call it as Vigraha. Vigraha Aradhana. Vigraha means there is a form. And this form is spiritual, not material. That's why we call deity or vigraha. Because of this is a spiritual form. Like that, our soul is spiritual. That soul has a form that is known as the spiritual form. What is that spiritual form? Is Sat Chit and Anand. And spirit has got no material form. See, there is no material form. Spirit is not material, which is beyond the material qualities. Spirit has got spiritual form. Spirit soul has original form. And that form never changes. That spirit soul's original form never changes. And I mentioned on the other day, and also spirit soul has that original form of four-handed Vishnu form. Why? Because of manifested from the Lord Vishnu. Four-handed Vishnu form. This is the spiritual form of the living entity as well. When he is in the material energy, the dress is evolved materially. So sometimes, okay, we saw that so many forms, 8.4 million species of life, and we can see various forms of this living entity. Why? Because of this all, designing by or molding by the desires of the living entity. If I have strong desire to fly in the sky, I can become a bird in my next life. So like that, we all can become various forms, and that is like a dress, right? Like for a drama, we know that when we celebrate the Narasimha Chaturdashi, we know that Narasimha Chaturdashi we play a drama, and when Amardananda Prabhu put a costume of this Narasimha Dev, and then he put a costume, and when he comes out from this pillar, we also get afraid. We feel that, oh, this is Narasimha Dev. But we all know that it's just a costume. But the original person, Amardananda Prabhu, is there. But when he put a costume, it's different. So like that, dear devotees, we are all putting a costume according to our desire. What drama, what play we want to play in this world? Accordingly, our desires, our intentions, our all activities dovetail towards that, and we get a body accordingly, and then we play that role for some time. It's not eternal. For some time, we get that time, and we play that role, and then what happens? Then we change the body in another time. Depends on our intense desire. So the conclusion is that spirit soul has a form. As Krishna has got form, Sachidananda Vigraha 5.1. Similarly, spirit soul, Jivatma, being part and parcel of Krishna, it has got form. And this is the conclusion, dear devotees. So always remember that spirit soul has a form. It's very pure. It's similar to the Lord Vishnu's form. But we contaminate with our own desires, and we get different bodies, different forms. That is not our original form, but spirit soul has a spiritual form. Okay, so let us come to the next section of it. So here, size of the spirit soul. So it says Keshagra Sada Bhagasya Sadadha Kalpidasya Cha. Kesha means the hair, the upper portion of your hair. When it is divided into 10,000 parts, and just imagine that one part is the spiritual atom, it is so small. That's why it's known as Atma atomic, very tiny. That's why spirit soul is known as Atma, is known as Anu. Anu means atomic, very tiny. It cannot even see by the microscopes. And the nature of the spirit soul also further discussed here. It's very, if you take the 10,000 parts of the tip of the hair, that means that if you cut the one part of the hair, the tip of the hair, then you again cut that into the 10,000 times. 10,000 times if you cut like that, how much you get it? Cannot even imagine that. What is the size of that soul? The devotees, that little tiny atomic particle, the atomic of the spirit has such a potency similar to that Krishna. That's why Krishna is considered as Paramanu Spuralilum Spuranamai Minnuna Parama Prakasamej Saranamya. That spirit soul is also exists into that atomic, little tiny atomic, level, that the spirit soul, that supreme, can be accessed in the form of an Atma. And also he can be vibhu, he can be unimaginable size into this material and cosmic creations. Unimaginable. We cannot even imagine that. Even it says that even one light rays to pass from one universe to another universe, it takes 1 billion light years. This is the, you know, that the light years means light travels 1 year. Can you imagine? Then from the sun god, it takes around 8 seconds. It takes the sunlight to reach to the planet. 8 seconds, that's it. And you know that how much far the sun is. So like that, the sun ray passes 1 year. That's called a 1 light year. And there are 1 billion light years is needed to pass one universe. Then there are trillions of universes like that, dear devotees. Can you imagine this vastness? And imagine that how great, as why Lord is known, Vibhu, we are just a tiny part of it. So this is unimaginable. We cannot perceive simply like that. We cannot perceive. So only that by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, all this can be understandable and realizable. So then let's go to the next one. See, the spirit soul, as I mentioned, that takes birth from the boyhood to youthhood. Like, you know, it says that Dehino asmini yada dehe kaumaram yauvanam chara tata dehandara praptu dhiras tatrana mukyadi. 13th verse of second chapter. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from the boyhood to youthhood to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such change. What is very important to understand. Always remember this. Soul never changes, but all changes is happening in the body. Body grows. Embodied soul continuously passes body from the body. The body changes. Why? Because of the presence of the soul. We know that many times the babies die in the delivery time or in the childhood time. As soon as the soul passes, it doesn't grow anymore, right? Why? Because of the soul existence. The existence of the soul makes that possible. Similarly, at the time of death, it passes to the another body. So continuously, the soul journeying to fulfill the desires of this spirit soul. Okay? And then we come to the Srila Prabhupada right in a purport. The material body is developed because of his presence within the matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because of that superior energy. Spirit soul being present, similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of the super soul, Vishnu. Dear devotees, sometimes we see that even science says that this Brahmanda is also growing. It's also growing. Even science proved that. It's growing and growing and expanding and expanding and expanding. The universes are also expanding. And then also one point of time come to the closing is also converge. And can you mute, please? I think there is a Priya, something like that. Can you please put a mute? Namru Prabhu, make me a host, please. Okay, thank you. So, similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is also expanding. Why? Because of the presence of the super soul. Similarly, the presence of the soul, which makes our body grows. Similarly, the presence of the super soul, also this universe grows inside. And that's why it's taking shapes, various forms, various angles, various orbiting, is moving. And, all these are happening because of the presence of the super soul. Similarly, the presence of the soul in the body, which develops the gross body. So we can see that further here. Yeah, that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. As Krishna is mentioning that in the second chapter, 17 verse. That which pervades the entire body, you should know that, indestructible. So this was one of the Arjuna's concern. I'm going to kill all my kinsmen, all my gurus. But Krishna was revealing to Arjuna that is, you're not going to kill anyone. You cannot kill anyone because the soul is never to be killed and is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the soul. So that, dear devotees, it's always exists. And then we further understand this. So the journey to realizing I'm not the body begins with the living. I am more than the body, right? When only that, when the living entity, the spirit soul comes into our body, that's where we are realizing the journey of realizing that, yes, I am not this body. So see that the beautiful form of that all these humble sages and everywhere that we can see that the soul present in the form of what? The, the four-handed Vishnu form is seated in our heart as well. And also this is also the four-handed Vishnu form. So you can see that every living entity has that. This is the beautiful understanding, dear devotees. This is called science of self-realization. Atma Sakshatkar. Always remember that, always understand that. And this is where we have to come to and always have to see every living entity with that equal vision that every living entity is part and parcel of the Lord. Then how we can kill them, or how we can, persecute them, or how we can give pain to them, or how we can give suffering to them. Because of that's why in our scripture reveals that if we give such kinds of things, anything that injustice to other living entities is sinful, because we are not entitled, because we are persecuted, because of every living entity, every elements in this world has the Lord's imprint in it and the Lord's present in it. We are not supposed to, and what we have to do, we have to have that Atma Sakshatkar, the science of self-realization that the soul is also within us and within every living entity, within every atom. And then Paramatma is also there, and every living entity, Jivatma is there. So we should be always have respectful nature towards each and every living entity. This is where that we know understanding that I'm not this body, or any living entity is not a body, but our understanding, our discrimination. First thing that we see that, oh, this is an American, this is an Indian, this is an African, this is a Nigerian, this is Arabic, and this is bird, this is animal, this cow, this tiger. All this comes to our first things in the mind. Then we start to behave accordingly. In every aspect of our nature, we behave accordingly. Nobody is free from it. Why? We are so much engrossed with this, understanding that, okay, oh, we are always sees this, the bodily conceptions of the life. We should always remember that every living, that's equal vision. That's where when one who sees me in everything, as Krishna says in the 12th chapter, one who sees me in everything, I'm very dear to them. They're never lost in me. Okay, so it's very, very important, and that's where the first understanding should happen, that we are part and parcel of the Lord, and every living entity is a part of it. So we come to this understanding: we are not the body, we are spiritual beings trapped in the body. We are spiritual beings trapped in the body. Our real interest lies in the understanding of this simple fact that's called the science of self-realization. Atma Sakshatkar. We should always have this Atma Sakshatkar. That's why we have this human form of life. In the human form of life, we don't have this science of self-realization. We lost our human form of life, dear devotees. Very important that we come to that understanding. Then only everything makes sense. So one should be convinced that he is a spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Brahman, Krishna, but has somehow or other been entrapped by the material coverings of the gross and subtle bodies consisting of earth, water, fire, air, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Right? So here we can see that spirit soul in every living entity, and taking birth and growing and come back again and going. This is called cycle of birth and death. And we are in the samsara chakra, that's this material world, dear devotees. So when we understand this, we can understand the complete truth of these cosmic manifestations. Right? So let's go to the next slide. We are spirit soul, and there was never any need of this material body. But because we wanted to enjoy the material body, we have this body. through the material energy under the directions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As soon as we are re-established in our original position to serve it to the Supreme Lord, we begin to forget the necessities of the body, and at last we forget the body. The devotees, this should be our self-realization, and to progress in our journey of understanding that supreme realization. But we are completely engrossed with our bodily needs and the material enjoyment. Most of the time, 99.99% of the time, we are always conscious of how to maintain, how to beautify our body, how to put our body in such a condition that everybody will going to appreciate. Everybody will be attached to me. Everybody will be giving me so much of happiness and the joy on the bodily platform. Everybody will say, you are beautiful. You are so healthy. You are so handsome. Your hair is so nice. Your eyes are so beautiful. You are charming. Oh, you are so attractive. The devotees, at the end of the day, this is nothing but earth, water, fire, air, and ether. We are forgetting that our original spiritual form. When we come to this understanding, yes, this body is part of this material nature, but I'm eternal, my eternal part, eternal form is that spiritual form. So I should cultivate, I should beautify that spiritual form rather than too much time spending on beautifying our material things, material body. So this is then further we makes the progress in our spiritual understanding of science of the realization, self-realization of Krishna consciousness. Then only that we can come out from the clutches of these material entanglements. These all material entanglements that we are every lifetime after lifetime, we are so much attached to our material body. So then we come to this understanding, as Krishna says that Nasado vidyado bhavo na bhavo vidyade sadaha ubayorabi drishto nastva annestvatva darshibhi. Those who are the seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So dear devotees, always understand this. The soul is eternal, and we should focus more on cultivating the soul and maintaining our soul, spirit soul, rather than too much time, too much energy, too much money, too much efforts that we spend for to maintain our material body in such a way that unnecessarily wasting the time. Like an older lady went into the market. She wanted to buy a parrot, so she bought a parrot. Now she also wanted to buy a cage for this parrot. She was quite rich. She went into the market and went into a big shop, and she bought a very gold cage for this parrot. She brought that parrot and cage and put the parrot inside the cage. Every day she goes out and clean this parrot's cage, but forgot to take care of this parrot. So eventually what happened? The parrot died because of negligence. No food, no water. So then the parrot died. Then all the charming of the cage of this parrot is useless now. So similarly, dear devotees, our conditions are like that. We forget our original real identity, our original form, that is our spiritual form. We forget that. We are so focused on so many other things, then gradually this soul dies. Soul never dies, but in the sense that which completely, takes out another form and lost that the human form of life. Then we suffer in this world more and more. So know that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. Krishna is telling to Arjuna, Arjuna's concern was, I'm going to kill everyone. But Krishna is telling that know that which pervades the entire body. The soul is even though seated in the heart, but it pervades the entire body. Like that, the Supreme Soul, the Paramatma, he is also pervades everywhere. Like that, the spirit soul pervades the entire body of that living entity, dear devotees. That's why if you got a pin, prick on your finger, immediately you understand, you get a feeling of pain. That why? Because of that spirit soul. But a dead body, you go and put a pin on the dead body, you don't feel anything. Why? Because of soul is not there. That soul pervades the entire body. It cannot cut into pieces. That's what is we are going to see in the next few verses. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. This is the transcendental absolute science, dear devotees, and this is the transcendental understanding that we should always have. And we should not lament for any of this material, the things, even the material body. So here, as a person put on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. As I mentioned earlier, that. And also mentioned, Nainam chindandi shastrani, Nainam dagadi pavagaha, na chainam kledayanti yapu, na sosyadi mardaha. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can he be burned by the fire, nor moistened by the water, nor withered by the wind. We cannot do anything with the soul. Okay, I have a gun, I'm going to kill this soul. Even if you shoot, nothing can happen to the soul. So Krishna is revealing to Arjuna, dear devotees, it's a very proper understanding. We should all have this understanding. The soul is eternal. Nothing can be done with this soul. Soul is ever existing. He said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, and unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So this is the very proper understanding we all should have. Right? When we have so much of bodily concept of the life entangled with this bodily concepts, then we are so fearful, so much lamentation, so much attachment, so much of things. We are so much afraid of if the losing this everything. Why? Because we develop that attachment for this body. But at the same time, we have this attachment to the spirit soul and the super soul, the Paramatma, slowly, gradually, that we detach from these material conceptions, material attachment, and we come to the spiritual and supreme, the Paramatma, the real attachment to the Supreme Lord. Then we really come to that understanding. Then if we feel that, we get more strength, we get more understanding, we get more confidence. We are not fearful now anymore, because we are situating in that spiritual platform which is eternal and full of potency. That's why, Acharyas, our scriptures, Krishna also revealing that we have to somehow detach from this material entanglement or this material world. So that's called the practice or the sadhana. When we practice this sadhana, we are slowly able to come back to our spiritual, original, constitutional position or spiritual nature. So then we come to this understanding. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what needs to be there for lamentation? So soul passes from one body to another, and then sometime it unmanifested state. And then it comes to a body, then we say that, there is a birth, it's manifested state. Then it remains for some time. Then it goes again. Comes back again, goes again, comes back again. This is called samsara chakra, the cycle of birth and death. So why there is a lamentation for it? There was a great story even that when Srivas Thakur, Angad, there was Srivas Thakur's sons passed away. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. And then everybody, all the Madajis were crying. But Srivas Thakur was not in that mood of crying. Srivas Thakur properly understood. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood that something happened and came to the room and understood that Srivas Thakur's son passed away. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recalled the soul back to the body of these sons of Srivas Thakur. And then the son started to speak. I am passes for so many fathers and mothers, so many lifetimes. I have this lifetime with the Srivas Thakur, but time is up. I have to leave. And everybody pacified. And this is also exactly happened to the Chitraketu and Kridadidi. They had one son after a long, long time. But this son, by the poisoning of the co-wives of the Kirdadidi, they killed this son. And Chitraketu was so much in lamentation. That's the time the Angiras Muni and the Narada Muni came there, and they called back the spirit soul back to their body. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a beautiful explanation, and the soul started to speak. So many lifetimes I passed from one body to another. I have so many brothers, so many fathers, and so many mothers. In this lifetime, you are my father and mother. Why there is a lamentation in previous my lifetime that I have another father and mother, another father and mother in the, and this little child was saying all these things, speaking to them. They understood that. And they were in such a lamentation, such a disappointment and distress because they're the only child left there, the body. Why? Because they are so attached to that body. But after clearing out all these doubts, clearing and speaking the truth, they fall down. That's why Chitraketu got liberation. Chitraketu got a liberation, and then he was ascending to the back to the Godhead. And that's the time Chitraketu saw that Mother Parvati sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva, and he laughed at. Because that offense, he became a demon. That's why he is known as Vrdasura. He became a Vrdasura in the next lifetime. But since he was a devotee, then he got finally the liberation and went back to the Godhead. So there is a beautiful story there into the Srimad Bhagavatam. So due to the time, I'm just concluding this now. Okay. So, and some look at the soul is amazing. Some describe him as amazing. Some hear him as amazing. While others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So this is the mercy. This is the part one has to have the mercy to understand all this. And how one gets the mercy? Their humble nature of servitude. Always ready to serve and humble nature, one acquires the mercy. Okay? And then we come to this understanding. Let me skip this one. And the spirit soul can be happy only in the association of the Supreme Living Being, the personality of Godhead, and nowhere else. A devotee is like a fish out of water and trying to live, then it is cannot survive like that. We are seeking this happiness in a desert. We are seeking water in a desert. We see the mirage. We see there is water, but it's a mirage. So like that, this is a perverted reflection of what is originally in the spiritual, abode. But we are wandering here in this world. We get some flickering happiness, temporary happiness for some time. We entangled with this material world, then what happens? We completely lost ourselves to this material world. Like Srila Vilamangala Thakur says that we all fall down into this Andhakupa. This material world is Andhakupa, considered as an Andhakupa, that means dark well. This dark well, Andhakupa, we are all fallen down into this dark well. Here we are suffering in this world, but when we understand that we are part and parcel of that Supreme Lord, and then only that we can, with that Krishna only, we can have the eternal happiness in our life. So then we come to this understanding, yes, all this mind, body, intelligence, and soul is beyond all this. Soul is beyond all this. It pervades the entire board. One is actually material, and above that you can see is spiritual, right? And then we come to that understanding of the, how this hierarchy of it, body, senses, mind, intelligence, ego, soul, and the super soul. Right? That the elements which is below or inferior, ego, intelligence, mind, senses, body, or this is a material elements, and the soul and the super soul is the spiritual elements, spiritual entities. Right? And as you can see here. And then, as you can see that the working senses and all those things. And when you come to the understanding of mind, intelligence, and body, then how one can revive his spiritual nature? That's where we come to these eternal processes. What is that eternal process? So spirit soul need, like that, the old lady and a cage, a parrot. The parrot needed the food and the water, then it could have survived. Like that, The spirit soul needed the food and the water like that. And what is that spiritual food and the water? That is called the cultivation of the devotion and the nine process of the bhakti, that Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. When we come into that spiritual platform, this is the eternal process. This is bhakti, means eternal, loving devotional, eternal process, not the material, anything, nothing to do with the material. Anything that which we do in devotional practices, devotional services, that is the food for the spirit soul. That's where the spirit soul is connecting with the supreme soul, Atma, Paramatma. The only way that supra soul, so the spirit soul, only is the way the Atma can be connected to the Paramatma is that the spirit, the nine process of bhakti. And there are 64 other different different processes, but mainly this nine process of bhakti, the spirit soul can be always in a happy and it always be in Krishna, can always be with Krishna. This is our eternal position. So devotional service in this human form of life, dear devotees, is our eternal goal or eternal position. That's our eternal nature. That's where we are always be happy, blissful, and full of knowledge. That's where we are realizing our identity. That's where we are coming to our original form. Right? That's the only place we can revive our original consciousness, original form, original nature, original attitude, original the spiritual realm, original spiritual qualities. Only in that process, only in that realm, that bhakti, that we can revive our original nature. Right? So this is what it is. To conclude that just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me, thus you will live in me. See, you will live in me. That is our original constitutional position, spiritual nature, spirit soul, always without a doubt. So dear devotees, this is the transcendental truth, transcendental science, absolute truth, and this is eternal truth. We should always abide of this understanding, always have this understanding in our heart. Who am I? Who are we? We are part of that supreme. That supreme Lord has such a beautiful form and abode and so many. So, but because of our material contamination, we cannot come out of it. So first we have to have this understanding of spirit soul. We are part of that supreme. So with this note, I would end here. Thank you so much for being there. And it is so nice to understand from the Bhagavad Gita, from the words of the Bhagavad Gita, from the verses of Bhagavad Gita, from the mouth of Bhagavad Gita, only that we can understand this transcendental truth. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for being there and listening this. So will any comments or any other concerns? Any questions?
Dandvat Pranam Prabhuji, you have explained very well. Only I want to know difference between a Paramatma and a spirit soul.
Yes. Paramatma is the Supreme Lord. He is Vibhu. He is everything. He pervaded in every atom, everywhere. He is conscious of every living entities. He is aware of everything. And from him, everything manifests. From him that we also, our body, everything manifests. From him that everything comes. From he is the directing all of us. He is also sanctioning all our desires and everything. The spirit soul is part of that Paramatma. He is the one who is enjoying, right? So like just say, for an example, on a tree, there are two birds. This is Upanishad says that. One tree is actually eating the fruit. Another bird is actually seeing and watching all of it. So we are the one who is enjoyer. And with the sanction of that Paramatma, when we have some desires to enjoy, the Paramatma sanction for it. So we are the enjoyer here in this world as a so-called enjoyer actually, right? Because we have the desires separately from Krishna. Okay, so be it. Krishna says, Paramatma says, so be it. We feel that we enjoy it, but we are more entangled in this material world. So the spirit soul has a tiny little freedom to act upon, to fulfill his desires, so that Paramatma is always, providing all those and sanctioning all those and all those things. The Paramatma is pervaded the entire body and he is conscious of entire body, even though he is one. But living entities, souls are many, millions of billions of billions, we cannot count. And he is only conscious of only his own body. So that means that's called Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the field of his activity. That is called body. So that soul is only aware of all this only on his own body. And then so that is his field, that's where he is enjoying his body and he feels that his senses makes him that, okay. So this is all kind of illusion basically, but really there is no material happiness. But when the senses are agitated, right? In different people has different kinds of senses. They're agitated, they get some little flickering, kind of feeling. But the real soul, the spirit soul has the eternal, that same as the happiness which the Krishna derives. That's the blissful, that's the eternal constitutional position or compatible position. The soul, yes, the difference is actually, soul is very limited, Anu. Paramatma is Vibhu, he is everything and everywhere.
So spirit soul cannot become Paramatma.
Aham
Brahma.
No,
which is
spirit
not
soul,
true.
which is not true. Which is why it is that context, because of, we are all very limited, living entities. So in order to understand this concept of we are part and parcel of the Lord, Upanishads, right? Upanishad says that, oh, Aham Brahmasmi, we are part of the Brahman, or we are Brahman. I think, okay, we can go ahead and say, oh, I am Brahman. But in reality, we are part of that Brahman. We are part of that Krishna, not Brahman. Really? Yes. When we say like a salt, the ocean or drop of a water is also have the quality of that ocean, the water. Similarly, we also have the quality of that, the Brahman or the Krishna. But we are not Krishna. But we have that quality of that. So this is a very thin line for it, that to understand that, yes, some people can interpret that since we have the quality, we are also Brahman, but it's not, fully true, but we are not the Brahman, but we are the part of the Brahman. So like a drop of water from the ocean is not an ocean, but it's a drop. Similarly, we are also a drop of that, a tiny part of it, but we have some quality of, but we are not that ocean, right? So when you say Aham Brahmasmi, so we have to take into that context, like, we are eternally part and parcel of the world. Not that we are Aham Brahmasmi means we are part and parcel of that. That's what is the proper understanding of that.
Because in Jain people also say, me, I am a Paramatma.
Yeah, we are part of that Paramatma.
Yeah, but I am not a Paramatma. I am part
not
of
a Paramatma. Yes, I am not a Paramatma. If we are a Paramatma, then we should not have to take, right? We should not have headache. We should not have leg ache. We should not have backache. We should not have stomach pain, if you are a Paramatma. But we are part of it. We have that quality. We are little tiny. We entrapped into this material body. So we have to suffer. But Paramatma never will have the material body. Paramatma will always have the spiritual body. When Krishna manifested here, Krishna has eternal spiritual form. Narasimhadev come, eternal spiritual form, not the material form. Nobody is buried, these forms of this body. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
We can be Satchitanand, yes. But we cannot be a Paramatma.
Yeah, we can be Satchitanand. That's what it is, the eternal transcendental science. We are all eternally part and parcel of that supreme to become part of that. Like just for an example, for a body, there is hands, there are legs, there are stomach, belly, eyes, hair, so many things, right? So this is the similar way. We are part of that body, the part of that Krishna. We have to be part of that. We cannot become, hands cannot become a body, isn't it? Or hands cannot become that entire form. It's just a part of it. How can a nail become a hand? right? How can a hair of a body become a body? It's a part of it.
Mhm.
How can a hand become the entire body or leg? It cannot be. So this is the nature. This is a constitutional position. So Krishna as a whole, we are just any part of it. And that's where we are all niche to belongs to that supreme. That's where we need. So we should have always have this understanding. We are not the Paramatma. We are part of that Paramatma. Our nature is to be part of, nature is to be, to belongs to be with that Supreme, be with that Supreme Lord. That should be our nature.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, in order to come to that level, we should be always engaged into this loving devotional service. That understanding, that's our nature, that's our eternal nature. So, Jivera Surupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. Jivera Surupa, that's our eternal Surup, the form, is to serve that Supreme Personality. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else would like to add? Any other comments? Any other questions?
Hare, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Madaji.
Anjana here.
And Dandot Pranam Prabhu Srila Prabhupada. Yeah.
Was just very nicely explained. The way, when you start speaking, it's just like the wish to keep listening to you, because it's like, yes, really, that's what happens. That's what we experience in the life. Temporary happiness, then all of a sudden that happiness is gone.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the processes like the bhakti, and I guess there may be more processes, 4 5 I heard in few other lessons. So looks like we need to learn those processes. And also like this suffering and all that, we all understand this, like there is suffering.
Yeah.
That's why we become sad, or we like, it's not only about like our happiness or our sadness. Even sometimes we cannot watch others like unhappy, and when they are going through pain, and that is tough to watch also. But we need to control this, we need some kind of control for all that. Looks like that's the suffering. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's our conditioning. That's called conditioning. Madaji. That's our nature. That's true. That's called conditioning. That we are all, everybody is different. We are all into that same, some kind of boat like that. Some kind of, you know, the, yeah, the ship that we are all going through. Some are good, some are bad. In that's our body, right? Some are, some we can tolerate, some cannot tolerate, some cannot, you know, understand, some cannot understand, some are, you know, some can, you know, certain situations, some have patience, some doesn't have patience, and so many things. That's our nature. That's called conditioning that we go through because of our past karma, past life, and millions of other past lives. So we go through with this one. That's our nature. That's our conditioning right now. So, like, as
And the
Krishna's, yeah, go ahead.
most frequent question, like why we got separated from that Supreme Lord and all that. That
Yeah,
Supreme Lord could have controlled why, all this suffering.
yeah,
Like
right.
our
Yes,
or
yeah,
other species. You mentioned very nicely that example of the parrot. Actually, that really happens. Like some of
yeah,
our friends, they are keeping some fancy parakeets, like from different countries. Those variety species, the yellow, blue colored, and all that.
yeah,
And many people are having pets like a dog. And sometime when we visit to their house, how I have experienced, like all of a sudden, I see like they are coming to me, those pets, or like parakeet flying and sitting on my shoulder and trying to communicate or talk, and something I'm not able to understand. But now after listening to you this lesson, I'm getting the feeling like, and like my other friends were saying, oh, why this parakeet is talking to Anjana, sitting on Anjana's shoulder, and didn't come to us and all that. But now I have the feeling like they were trying to communicate, like asking for help to get relieved from friend's house, like asking for freedom or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, the main thing is actually is, yeah, we should understand that every living entity is consciousness position as well. Yes. um, what they goes through, what we goes through, where are we now, what they are actually. It's all can be understandable when we progress in the bhakti. Yeah, this is not an overnight thing. It takes time, and all we need to do is actually understanding that our consciousness, that our consciousness position, that what a human being supposed to do in his human form of life. That we don't know. That's why we are suffering in this world because of we don't know what we're supposed to do in the human form of life. We suffer in this world. So that's why this is very important. And we don't need to be so much knowledgeable or so much of by hearting everything. No, no, we don't need anything. That's why it simplified these processes. All we need to do is actually Sravanam, hear first. Hear about the glories of the Supreme Lord, the glories of the holy name of the Lord. Sravanam, hear. Hearing is the science, so that it reveals the science, hearing process. And Shravana Kirtanam. Kirtanam means chanting that, chanting the holy name, especially in this age of Kali, chanting the holy name. And then meditate upon the Supreme Lord, Vishnu Smaranam, right? Meditate upon the Supreme. And this is the way that we can understand. Then the nine Sravana Kirtana Vishnu Smaranam, then Pada Sevanam, like worship the Supreme Lord. Archanam, offering the obeisance to the Supreme Lord. Vandanam. Archana means offering the articles to the Supreme Lord. Vandana means obeisance to the Supreme Lord. Dasya means servitorship, serve the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Then surrender unto him. Surrender and submit ourselves to the Supreme and say that, oh Lord, I'm yours. You can put me in any way you want. I don't care. All I need is actually your eternal, loving, devotional service. Please engage me in your service. Every day, there should not be a time that I cannot serve you. Every day, please, oh Lord, that please engage me, allow me to serve you. Always have that beautiful form in your heart. Always see that beautiful form in everywhere, in everybody else. Not to have too much of lamentations, too much of anxieties. When we say Krishna, when we take care of, when we say Krishna, when I surrender, that's why Krishna says that. You come to me, I'll take care of you. No worries. You come to me, surrender unto me, I'll take care of you. There is nothing to worry. So that's what is we should have. But that journey is not that easy. Okay, I go to Lord, okay, I say, but all the, like a market where we are always back in our own, the laundry list of our own problems and suffering, desires. We all have always hold that with us, right? Even though, any person you take there maybe have some possessions they have. Even till last minute of their death, they won't leave that. This is our nature, actually. So these possessions. So because of all this, but this transcendental understanding, the Bhagavad Gita reveals that we should understand this. What are we? Yes, we need to keep our minimum, all those things that's needed. Whatever is needed for, we have to use it. That's why also utilize everything for the service of the Lord, so that, we can, like a parrot, we can feed the parrot in such a way that means we can feed our soul in such a way that always be in Krishna consciousness. There's a Srila Prabhupada put this organization called International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That's so we can always be Krishna conscious. When we are Krishna conscious, that's the ultimate, that's the perfection of our life. We should have that consciousness, always Krishna. And
So
this
when you mention, yes, Prabhuji, when you mention about devotional services, so devotional services, you mean this chanting and kirtan? More and more we try to focus on like such devotional services. Then so many in different directions we are getting pulled. This appointment, that appointment to get this fixed, get that fixed. So, so then we have like, oh, I need time for like chanting or this. Oh, I need to sit peacefully in some like corner of the house and then think about the Lord and like that.
to do
But
it.
then
Yeah. Yeah, we should.
it's
That's what it is, right? Unless there is no pain, there is no gain when there is no pain, right? So we have to put ours. That's what it is. Krishna is looking to see. So much of time we are wasting in our day-to-day life. So much of time for so many unwanted things. We are worried more about what we don't have, but we are always anxiety about, what we don't have. Always worry, and but we don't bother about what we have. We have houses, we have car, we have maybe children, we have job, we have whatever Krishna is provided to live, at least have a peaceful life. But we are not happy. This is called greed. And we have lust and the greed and the anger. So many lust, from the lust, greed and anger all arises. So unwanted desires create all this, these clutches and entanglements, and we suffer in this world. We cannot sleep properly because we are worrying so much about others. And if somebody has something, we are worrying about it. And if I don't have something, I'm worrying about it. Or they have a Mercedes car or Tesla car, I am worrying about it. I don't have it. I don't have this. That lady uses that, necklace. I don't have it. I'm worrying about it. Why don't I have it? Fighting with husband or wife. I heard that, somewhere that wife was having an argument because of husband is not providing enough jewelries, something like that. Yeah. This is little pity things we are so much attached, we are so much conscious of, right? It's little pity things. And this world, look at this world, we are fighting for these little pity things of selfishness, nothing else. World is a beautiful place, but our desires and the lust and the anger and the greed and create this world in such a way that it's like a hell in this. We are creating a hell even over here. How many people are happy with their married life, whatever they have? I think 99% of the people are not happy because of so much of what is called the desires of unwanted desires of greed and so many things. No respect, no value, no kind of always arguments, fight, and so many things. Why? It all arises from our sense perceptions. I need to be respected. I am that. I am this. And this. Yes, I mean, some extent we should all have, but we should all understand that one thing. That's why when this transcendental science, this knowledge is not there, that's why it's all happening. We should all have a goal in our life that yes, we should all live for that Supreme Lord. Then everything is peace and harmony. Like as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, 29th verse. Bhoktaram yajyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suburdam sarvabhautanam jnatva me shantimruchati. Understanding that I am the benefactor of all these material universes. Benefactor, I am providing everything. I'm providing everything. Benefactor. I'm the Lord of all these universes, one who knows this. And he will free from the pangs of these material miseries. One who knows this. That's what is every life, every human's life, every family should understand this, and their life should be Krishna-centric. When there is a life is Krishna-centric, and then there will be a patience, there is a tolerance, there is, control of the anger, control of the everything. They control their life. So that's where we need to actually. So we have to control or what is called, we have to control our lives, unwanted things, and dovetail in such a way that we have to spend some time for Krishna, morning or evening, chant, sit and chant. Listen the music or Krishna's music, listen the bhajans or the Srimad Bhagavad. There are so many materials out there. While going somewhere or while sitting on the bus or the train, listen or read or whatever you can do, you do that. Be conscious of that. The devotees in due course of time will feel that the difference between that material realm and see that the beautiful spiritual realm that which offers to us. In that realm, then we don't get angry, or if something comes up, we know that, oh, this is because of this is happening. We will not agitate so quickly. We know that. We can understand that, oh, this because of happening because of this. We can easily understand other person's mind. We can easily understand other person's intentions. If somebody speaks something, we can easily understand what intention they are speaking on it. What is their motivation? What is their, all we can understand. We come to that point of why? Because of Krishna is in the front of us. We don't have anything that our own desires that, okay, I want to be like this, I want. No. Krishna is in the front of us in everything. And then Krishna reveals to that such person what is good and what is bad. So all we need to be is actually be there for Krishna, be there in the association of the devotees, and always have this endeavor that to cultivate Krishna consciousness in our life. Unless and our endeavor is very important. Unless and our endeavor is there, we will not get the mercy. So we have to have the endeavor in our life. We have to have always have some efforts from our end. That's what is Krishna is looking for. And we have to have the endeavor, like Draupadi. Draupadi was trying to hold her sari when Dushasana was trying to disrobe her. She didn't even remember Krishna that time. She was trying to hold herself and he was struggling. And finally, at that time, she is not able to, withhold with the Dushasana. Then she, opened her hands and folded and then, prayed to Krishna. That same Krishna intervened. So effort must be there. And so that's a great, lessons for all of us that we should open our hand and hearts and everything, all ego, just leave it. What I need Krishna. If I have ego, I have all these, impediments in our heart, all these blockages, all these walls, where we can go in near to Krishna. We cannot go near to Krishna because we have so much of baggage, so much of heaviness. There is a saying in the Jews, actually. It says that in order to pass over and reach to the abode of the Lord, they have to pass through a very narrow, thin thread. They have to walk over. If they have so much of heaviness with all this lust, greed, anger, then you should easily break that thread. But one who can pass that walking over that narrow thread, only who is actually free from all this. Then only he can pass through, because of only that pure spirit soul can pass over this close of material ocean. That's why also in our scripture we are called Viraja river. There's a river called Viraja, which boundary of this material universe and the spiritual universe. And this is called Vaitarani and Viraja. There are so many words like one has to cross over this. Who is able to cross over this? Command freedom. He freed himself from all these unwanted things in his material. So one who is freed from this material attachment, material entanglements, and material, all these obstacles in their life can pass through this, this final destination. So this is very important. It's not that, okay, I did something, I do something, I did something. Okay, now, no, we have to have constant effort. That's called sadhana. Constant effort from our end. You have to chant the holy name. If you are agreed to chant 10 rounds, 8 rounds, 16 rounds, you have to chant. We have to read, we have to listen, we have to engage in the devotional service. We have to go for book distribution if we are agreed. And this is all Krishna's service. We have to be with Krishna. Then only we can be completely free from it. Then only we can, completely, come to that, our real identity of that eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. Okay?
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
Jai. Amritananda Prabhuji ki Jai. Amritananda Prabhu raised their hands. Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, on this aspect of what is devotional service, if I can share Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj's instructions on this.
Please go ahead.
So there are things which we put, our mind puts things into compartments of what is material and what is spiritual. So going to the temple is considered spiritual. Going to the bar is material. But actually, devotional service is a state of consciousness. Literally any act, whatever be that act, any act can be an act of devotional service if the intent, the purpose, and the result is for Krishna's pleasure. Now, because of our conditioning, even so-called things which we put into the compartment of spirituality can actually be mixed spirituality with material. So, for example, when we are doing our japa is an act of bhakti. But if I'm doing japa while watching TV, so it is a mixed activity. Likewise, anything else that we're doing, if I'm doing kirtan, but I'm doing kirtan so that everyone will say, oh, wow, 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 you sing so well. then I'm using Kirtan for my own pleasure, not really Krishna's pleasure. So if we keep Krishna centric instead of being self-centric, then that act becomes an act of devotional service. So, and our conditioning is such that even so-called overt acts of devotional service, we use it for our own sense gratification. That's why the acharyas have given us all these processes. You chant, you do your sadhana, you associate, you do that. But you could be thinking of Krishna literally every time, either actively or subconsciously. And in the Gita, he gives so many analogies. If I look up, it's raining, and you see that dark rain cloud, that can remind us of Krishna, Sham Sundar. So, there are so many. While drinking water, I'm the taste in water. That is Krishna consciousness. So, and the principle of Yukta Vairagya, we all go out to work, we are grastis. The money that we earn is your service. Your going to a job can become seva if with that money that we earn, we use it to take care of Krishna's family, not my family. If our consciousness is, this is Krishna's family and I'm their caretaker, then that very act of going to office becomes seva. So like this, everything that we do can be dovetailed as per the principles of Yukta Vairagya. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Puji. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else would like to add?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila
Dandavat
Prabhupada.
Pranam, all glories.
I have a follow-up question to Amritanand Prabhu's, discussion.
Yes, please.
Prabhu said that, we have to keep centric. I just want to clarify my understanding. So we just discussed that, there is Paramatma sitting in everyone. So when I looked at the picture in your presentation with Lord Vishnu, having all arms spread, and now if I see that, yes, in every living being, that element of Paramatma is there, right? That tattva is there in everyone. So I was just cooking food, right? And I know that today I'm cooking something that my husband likes, right? So of course I'm thinking of my husband, but it's like Paramatma sitting in him is also will be satisfied by actually, getting the food. I don't know. I'm thinking from a very material perspective. When I actually disengage both the things, I feel that my consciousness should be Krishna sitting in the heart of my husband will be happy instead of the vapu of my husband being happy or his senses being happy. Am I understanding it correct? Or will it be a difference if I just think that, oh, my husband will be happy, or anybody in my family, if I'm cooking something for them, for their pleasure, but because the Paramatma is sitting in that, I'm doing my duty well as a mother, as a wife, the vapu or the, those family members will be happy, right? So.
And my answer is for that, Mataji, when we cook, especially at the home, if there are deities, if you're worshipping Krishna at the home, and we should cook for the lordships. We should think that, this instead of the husband. Okay, agree that we have the attachment for husband. Yes, there may be some way. Okay, this may like, my husband may like it, but when we cook for the deity is there, when the deity is there, so we should think that, okay, yeah, Krishna will like this. I'll make this for Krishna. Krishna likes that. So then that consciousness goes to the food which we make.
Correct.
Then we offer,
Yeah, I totally understand that portion. And till date, I was thinking that only. But then when I think, as you mentioned, that we should see Paramatma in everyone, right? That, okay, this is Paramatma's, he's there in everyone. And when I think from that perspective, that, okay, I should not hurt anybody because my Krishna is sitting in his heart, there's a Chaitya Guru or whatever, right? Inside the soul, or there's a super soul inside that. Does it get affected by what we do? Or, is it just the senses of the person that gets affected? Like sometimes we say that unki atma ko bahut acha laga, like my soul was happy when we do some practice.
That is material. That is not spiritual, first of all, right? So when we think that way, that's material, because I am thinking of my husband, so my husband likes it. Yes, that's for his satisfaction. We are making it anyway. But okay, this is part of it. As an obligation, okay, let me offer, and so that Krishna takes it. So we'll eat prasadam. But so when we make that, but we are creating a material consciousness there. And when we create a material consciousness, then that material consciousness goes to the bhoga, then that we open Krishna. It's not, it's actually, see, the worship is actually in three kinds: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So this kinds of bhoga offering is kind of something kind of like, maybe we can say mode of passion. But on the other hand, when you say, even Paramatma, we don't say, but our worship is, real worship is on the Bhagavan platform, not even Paramatma platform. Okay, Paramatma is sitting on my husband's heart. So when I think about my husband, or whether Paramatma, when he's satisfied, Paramatma is also satisfied. Two different things, right? So we are actually thinking of my husband. That means, I'm attached to my husband. So I'm cooking for him. Yeah, Paramatma is seeing it. He's like, it's fine. It's kind of, but when on the other hand, we are actually on the level of worship is level on the Bhagavan platform. That's the absolute platform. That's why deity worship is not even Paramatma level. Paramatma yogis are actually more on the Paramatma level platform. They worship the lordships on the Paramatma level. And the Brahmavadis, Jnanavadis, they worship the lordships on the Brahman level. But as a devotee, that's why the devotee, or the title of a devotee, means that a Vaishnava means that he worships that Bhagavan, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna in his form. That means all his activities dovetail towards Krishna. That's Bhagavan, that because of Bhagavan is present there. So like also another thing, when we worship Krishna, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita as well, if you water the root of a tree, all the other branches, twigs and leaves and the branches, everything will be, get the water. It flourishes. Similarly, when the deities are at home, when we worship Krishna, then if we have that consciousness that we worship, we make the bhoga for, my Lalla or my Krishna, he likes it. So then what happens? That consciousness goes, and then that prasadam becomes so sweet and everybody will like it. Even your husband likes 100 times better than when you make something that, okay, for husband. But when you say, okay, I like make this for Krishna, then he would like, even though there may be some fault or something like that there, but he will like 100 times because of now it has Krishna's, prasadam, that Krishna tasted it. That's the way we have to see things. We have to do the things in that way. So this way, it will be 1,000 times better, 1,000 times tastier. Even though maybe, your husband may not like, but when it's offered to Krishna, then that consciousness also spread, and that creates such a difference even into the prasadam and the bhoga. Then that will also create such a wonderful results in so many ways. So we basically worship on the Bhagavan platform. That means Bhagavan is there. The Lord is there in my home. Right? You agree with me?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, this helps because I kind of got confused between like whether the super soul where we satisfy that soul, super soul as a Paramatma sitting in, or because sometimes, to disengage yourself between that Bhagwan and Paramatma is difficult, right? Because sometimes when you when you get purified, or some anarthas, as it gets little rid of, you start feeling good about others. You start that, okay, you get that consciousness, or Krishna as a Chaitya Guru guides you that, no, you should not do this, you should not do that, or you should not hurt the other person, right? And then sometimes you feel that if I just see that Paramatma in the other person, that, I don't want to hurt that other person.
Yeah, of course.
Then,
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful. And another things also wanted to share with you, that your thought process is not so bad. It's also very encouraging, because of, according to our scripture, Padi Devo Bhava, that means also we have to, when we see
because Krishna says, do your duty, right?
duty,
So
and also yeah,
because
husband is
we are not Nivrut, we are
yeah, exactly. We are all grihasthas. We are all grihasthas. We have a duty of a wife to take care of the husband, and especially that should be in 100% level, not that, So Krishna likes that. Krishna absolutely likes that. And yes, you're right. You're on the right things that. But we are discussing the tattva here.
Correct.
Your activity, your activity, that which he takes care of, that feeling of that husband should be happy, and that substance, Krishna likes that. Krishna absolutely likes that, because of you have that sincere heart. This was, the story of the Pandarinath, right? The story of Pandarinath and the son who was serving their parents, and Krishna was standing outside. Even though the Pandit, I forgot the name of that Brahmana, who was very much engaged in the worship of their parents. And Krishna came and stood there in front of, and Krishna was, also hungry. He was waiting for food. Krishna saw that this son is sincerely serving their parents. Krishna stood there and waited for this Brahman to come out after the serving the parents. Krishna was so pleased with it. And Krishna, that's why the Pandarinath or Pandarpur, the Lord came there personally. And also, on the other hand, there is a story like that. A wife was serving her husband so nicely, and one sage came. But because of sincerely this wife was serving her husband, she could also attain that Tattva Gyan, that Brahma Gyan, the Lord, the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, and also she came to the level of a great sage because of that dedicated that services. So one day a sage came, and sage was also begging for alms, but she was serving her husband and she was late. And then the sage became so angry that, and the sage was about to curse. Immediately, this wife said that is no, not curse. Like you already cursed somebody, and you're that one, that one, that one. And this wife was started to speak to the sage. The sage got amazed, and that how come she got this all transcendental knowledge. And then she was a very, what is called, pious lady, and chaste lady, and by serving that in such a mood, and the Lord is got pleased with that. Yes, if you have that such kind of service attitude in such a mood of responsibility and a duty towards, Krishna always likes that. Krishna always likes that. But when we have our real, the devotional platform, and when you come to the higher stage and the pure devotional platform, yes, we even that's a primary duty of a wife. Even many sannyasis, even in our ISKCON, hesitating to give initiation to Matajis, because of it says that when they serve their husband, they will also, that means, initiated in the sense that they are serving the lordships in a indirect way. So this way, and she also gets all the punya. She gets also that the punya credit, and also even sincerely a wife serves her husband. Then what happens? Even all the punya, half of the punya of the husband will also wife gets it. And then even though she doesn't even chanted even the holy name even once, when husband goes to the Golok Vrindavan, wife also accompanies because of her service. So yeah, so Krishna is so pleased. So don't worry about that. What I was speaking about the tattva, the principle, but whatever you're doing is absolute. That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, wonderful. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So let's conclude. And also we have Paramananda Chaitanya Prabhu, you are there, and probably we can discuss about our, the weekend programs. And let us, please, dear devotees, please stay if you can for some time. And let me see whether I can. Okay. Let me stop the. Okay, Paramananda Chaitanya Prabhu, please go ahead. Okay, thank you
Yes,
so
Prabhuji.
much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for being there, and thank you so much for. We'll continue this tomorrow, the second section, or depends on how we cover this each section. Then probably we'll conclude so that we can deeply understand the subject matter. Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. And also, I would like to request to stay on the call, and we'll discuss about the or Sankirtan activities on this weekend. Hare Krishna. Okay, go ahead,
Hare,
Proj.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you, everyone, for staying over. We'll have a book distribution call, and the agenda, Prabhuji, for this call is to discuss the planning for the upcoming Rath Yatra in the Atlantic City, which is on Saturday, the 24th. So Prabhuji, I want to start with the devotees who've signed up for this. The plan is that we'll be meeting on Saturday, 7 a.m. in the temple. The devotees who already signed for the cooking seva, so they will be always already there, and others will join. So that's how we're going to take it. So we will be taking out the books. That's what it is in the main lobby, along with the backpacks. So we have 5 to 6 backpacks. We'll be filling them with the smaller books to distribution. Krishna Reservoir of Pleasure, on chanting Krishna, Chant and Be Happy. So all those small books, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
We have fairly good stocks of small books, at least for distribution, which can be handed over. So that's the plan. And then on the side, we always have the Bhagavad Gita and the Krishna books. So we'll be getting those boxes also. We're planning to take at least 7 to 8, but maybe more boxes of Bhagavad Gita, 10 boxes of Krishna book, and similarly for the regional languages, same, maybe 5 each, depending on what how it comes out. So that's what the plan is. And then we'll be carrying the temple cards also and the calendars. We found a box of calendars, and we can use that also for the distribution. So that's so much for the distribution. And devotees will be, some of them will be taking the private transportation. Ajinta Prabhu is taking his vehicle. Sandeep Prabhu is going on his car. So we'll be loading his van with the books. We'll be taking it. Yeah, we'll be taking it to the destination under the pandal, where eventually it'll be distributed. We'll be putting the table there also.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. I just want to check if I don't want to miss on the tables. So what do we get the tables there? Probably. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I'm forgetting.
we will get the table. Maybe one small table we can carry in case we need more space. Sometimes we have to share the tent with other things. So maybe a small table we can keep it with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have that small table in temple. I will get that also.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. And I'm sure the devotees also in the temple were preparing the prasadam for distribution, nuts, the small bags of dry fruits with Mataji makes. Prem Sarovar Mataji.
Yeah.
So yeah, that all activities
distribute on the way. Yes, correct. Yeah.
So that is ongoing.
Yeah.
And that's for the books. Try to carry as many books for distribution. The backpacks also.
Yeah, I mean, if we can have, maybe I may have a few more. Well, I will take it that, and then probably I'll also pack something in my van. Okay, so that when we reach there, so we can start to distribute us. So
Yeah.
the point is, probably we should reach there by 12, right? So at least
Yes,
leave here
Prabhuji.
by 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
populace can organize and we can distribute. We should take some temple cards if anybody has, and our banners, the banners and all those things, right?
Mm, we have the banners in the container, and I think uh, who is banner? Is it Hema Jagannath Prabhuji? With the rest of the banners and those poles which the Lord Jagannath's um, picture on the top. What
Yeah,
those?
those
Yeah,
ones. Yeah, whatever the banner which shows Jagannath or
yeah,
Krishna or Hare Krishna Mahamandra. I think we
yeah,
have that in our, that corridors, right?
yeah, yes. That will be taken.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what I can think of. We surely don't take the frames. The frames will not be we will not be carrying the frames, picture
Yeah,
frames.
because that can also easily spoil all those,
Yeah.
adding.
We have some small frames which our Sankirtan team takes out for distribution. We can get
Yeah,
those.
that we can keep it in. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Also, I see Nityalila Gaurangi Mataji. Hari Bol Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, how are you?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat
Dandavat
Pranam,
Pranam.
all those
All
Shukla
those
Gopal
Shishya
Jai.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
And congrats for the second
Hare
initiation
Krishna
too.
Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you Prabhuji. Yeah, I wanted to join and say Hare Krishna to everyone. I just saw the invite and I felt like compelled to join.
Very nice.
So
Yes.
nice to see you all again, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Join us for Rath Yatra, Mataji.
Yeah, so we were thinking to join
Oh,
for
okay.
Atlantic City Rath Yatra, but we couldn't. So now maybe some other time we'll visit NJ.
Okay, good.
Hello.
Okay, yeah. Please try, Babaji.
Yeah. Were you? Was I okay? My voice was coming or no problem?
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I just thought at least I'll talk to everyone and see everyone.
Thank you. Hare
Yeah, we're
Krishna.
planning for the book distribution this Saturday, Mataji.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see, Prabhuji, you are so nicely sending
Yeah.
invites. Everybody's distributing, and I feel very happy, Prabhuji, to see all this.
We still haven't got your replacement, Mataji.
No, Prabhuji, it's not like that. I got an opportunity there, and I learned, so it's useful to me.
Very
Prabhuji.
well, yeah. Thank you.
You all gave me opportunity. That is a very big thing. I learned a lot of things. So.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai, yeah. Yeah, good luck, Prabhuji, with all your planning. And hope to see you all. We will visit actually.
Sure,
New
please,
Jersey.
please come over.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you,
you.
Simheshwar.
Thank you so much.
Your
Thank you.
class
Prabhuji.
is nice. I should join more often, actually.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So,
Yeah,
anything
so
else?
that's if any. Yeah, that's what I had in my on my agenda. And I think that covers it all, most of it.
Yeah, I think let's focus on this weekend program. That's maybe more ideal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that see that what books we can get maximum, small size books or medium size books. These with different languages like Spanish. Maybe more Bengali books. Because that's a Bengali community, and more in English level, Spanish level. Those books, Spanish Bhagavad Gita, or things like that we can get. And see that also, so we need to get all these backpacks enough. Last time you ran out of books and all, right? So also at least 7-8 backpacks, we can keep, and we can also carry on our back and just try to distribute to the various, people, onlookers. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, in the store by the the end of it, I mean, where the other door is, there are some flyers, some old souvenirs there. So, which I thought we can take a box, maybe, those
Yeah,
flyers
whatever
are,
is left over, take it, and then we can distribute to the people.
yeah,
Those who are,
yeah, that's what I was thinking also. So
when there's nothing.
this is the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. This is the time we meet a lot of people, right?
Mm.
It's freebies, right? We can take it, and at least some way or other they can. Yeah.
No, okay.
Okay, then that's good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure, right. Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhasya. Vasa
Atita nam
Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnavebhyo. Jai. Ashwin. Good transmission.
book distribution ki jai.
Gauru Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Mm.